Hi, this is Chris with EdTechU. Today I'm going to talk to you about conditional formatting in Excel and Google Sheets. First, let's take a look at Microsoft Excel. Let's say you have some data you want to analyze. I've got a couple of different data sets we're going to look at. The first one is some sample test data for one test. So we have a couple of different options, and what you want to do is choose something called conditional formatting. Excel has several options that you can use to format content based on certain conditions, such as percentages or top 10. Or the one that we're going to apply first is called color scales, and this basically can give you something along the lines of a heat map. Another thing you can choose is the what's called top 10. You can highlight the top 10 scores, and you can also select the bottom 10, and this will allow you to easily and visually identify which students scored in the top end of the range and in the bottom end of the range. This other data set has results from a couple of different tests. So we can do the same thing here. We can apply conditional formatting and apply the color scales format. Something else we can do if we want to modify that a little bit is we can go into more rules and still choose the 3 color scale, but this time I want to modify so that the midpoint is at the passing score, which in most cases is right at 70. Again, this is just for visual indicators. So let's take that off and try something else. One thing that you'll notice when you have something highlighted in Excel 2016, at least, you have this option for quick analysis, and quick analysis allows you to access some of the features of conditional formatting, such as the data bars, color scale, etc. It also allows you to clear the format very easily. You can also apply some conditional formatting with custom formulas. So in this case, I'm going to compare the second exam results to the first exam results. So if the second score is lower than the first score, then I want it to highlight information. And I am going to take out the dollar signs. The dollar signs indicate whether it's a literal or static cell reference, or not quite so literal. So the first dollar sign locks the column and the second dollar sign locks the row. I want the column to remain the same, so I'm keeping that dollar sign there, but I want the row to be a little more variable, so I'm taking out the second dollar sign, and you'll see what I mean. So then I'm going to apply the format, what I want it to look like. Let's go ahead and make it bold italic, and when I click OK, you can see that all of the cells in column C that are lower than in the same row of column B now have that conditional formatting applied. So let's show you that again. We're going to compare now the results from exam 3 to exam 2 using the same formula, just different column references. So same row compared column D to column C. And there you go. Let's take a look at another example. Let's say you are doing an order of t-shirts and you've got most people's names, but maybe you're missing a few. Maybe some people have turned them in more than once. So first, let's make sure that everybody has turned in their t-shirt order. So we want to make sure that none of these cells are blank. So if we choose New Rule, one of our options is Format Only Cells that contain blanks. So any cell that's blank, we can apply a certain color or font format and make it really stand out that if we're missing anybody's t-shirt size, we can go back and talk to those people. Another thing that we can do is check to make sure that nobody put in their order twice. So if we highlight all of the names and choose the conditional formatting feature, this time we're going to choose duplicate values, and that's an option that's right there. We don't have to go any further, and if we want duplicate, pick a color default format. From here we can go ahead and sort the table so that all of the duplicates are together. So I'm going to sort them in alphabetical order, and then I'm going to remove the duplicate values. All right, now let's say that I have some other data. For example, I have some climate data and I want to analyze it. I can highlight all of the data in a column, and this time I'm going to choose the data bars. This type of data works really well for data bars because I can see trend values pretty easily. I can do that same thing across different months. Another thing that I can do, since this data set covers a wide range of years, is that I can select the years in, let's say, this column of March, and see if there's any year in particular that received the most rain. And this time I'm going to have to use a formula, and this formula, when you want to find a number that occurs most often, the math formula for that is called the mode. So I'm going to plug in the cell reference for the first cell of this range, which in this case is G5, equals the mode of the rest of that column range. And then I'm going to choose what format I want it to look like. And when I click OK, you'll see that 2010 showed up the most often. If I wanted to do this across the entire data set, it's the same formula, just a wider selection. I want the conditional formatting to apply using a new rule, using basically the same formula, just different references. I'm starting now with C5, and I'm going to go all the way from C5 to Y35 and apply the format. And this time you'll notice that 2007 shows up the most often. So these are just some different examples. If you want to take conditional formatting off, you have a couple of options. You can either go to Clear Rules, either from selected cells or the entire sheet, or you can choose to Manage Rules. Make sure you change the Show Formatting Rules for. Click on the drop down and choose the entire worksheet so you can see all conditional formatting rules that are in play, and you can remove or edit any of the rules that have been applied so far. Now let's take a look at Google Sheets. Google Sheets allow you to use a lot of the same types of conditional formatting that I just showed you. So these are the exact same data sets, and in this first sheet of test results, we can still do a color scale value. They don't look exactly the same, but they're pretty similar. I can also change the colors if I want to flip them around. I can change the midpoint value. I can also, if I wanted to do something different, Excel lets me do this as well. If I wanted to say everything above a certain value is a certain color, basically I want to make something similar to the heat map, but I just want 3 distinct colors as opposed to a heat map type of scale. So I can set this up so that anything above, say, 85 is green, anything between 70 and 84.9 is yellow, and anything below 70 is red. So very simple 3.3 color scales. So with my t-shirt order, The example that I showed earlier about identifying duplicates, Google Sheets does not have the duplicate value option as a default format. However, that doesn't mean we can't do it. We just need to put in a formula. And the formula in this case is a count if formula. So we're going to put in count if, and we're going to identify the column. In this case, I've got two columns, so it's A and B. Compare it to the first cell, and we're going to say is greater than 1, and then apply the format, and this will flag or identify any duplicate values. I do have the ability to choose whether a cell is empty or not empty, so I can still flag my empty orders. And on my climate data, I don't have the same option for the data bars that I did in Excel, but I can still apply the color scale formatting. I can also still apply the formula with the mode to flag and identify which of the years showed up the most often or had the highest values of precipitation. Lots of different ways that you can use and apply conditional formatting. It truly is a matter of what data you want to be visible so that whatever message you're trying to convey is clear. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you next Tech Tuesday.